Okay, in this section of notes, we're going to be looking at writing equations in slope-intercept form. So we have practiced graphing equations that are already written in slope-intercept form, but we're going to focus on writing the equation based on some given information. So typically that for today, that will be given the slope and given the y-intercept. And we're also going to practice graphing them as well. So remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept, where the line crosses the y-axis. And so, for example A, we're given the information m equals 2 and b equals negative 3. Well, that's pretty simple because we know m goes here and b goes here in the equation, so we just write y equals, the m value is 2, so 2x, and the b value is negative 3, so we just write minus 3. And then we'll also graph these just to get some practice in. So remember, we start with the b value, negative 3, that's the y-intercept, so we go down 3 on the y-axis right here. And then our slope is 2, and you can also think of that as 2 over 1, right, because slope is the change in y over the change in x, so we know we have to go up 2 and right 1 since it is positive. So up 2, right 1, and then we repeat that all the way across the graph. And you can go back to the start point and go backwards, down 2 and left 1, and then there is the line. But again, the focus today is going to be on writing the equation because that is the skill we have not practiced yet. Okay, example B, we've got m equals negative 1/2 and b equals 1. Well, same as the first one. Y equals, put the b value here, negative 1/2 x, and then the b value is plus 1, so we're going to write plus 1. So y equals negative 1/2 x plus 1. And again, let's graph that. So we go up 1 on the y-axis this time because the b value is positive 1, so start at 1. Slope is negative 1 over 2, so down 1 this time, right 2, down and right for a negative slope, down to the right, down 1, right 2. And then we can go up 1, left 2 from the middle as well to get a nice, good long picture across the graph. Let's see if I can get that straighter here. Okay, so there's the equation, right? Negative 1/2 x plus 1. For example C, we're given, in words this time, slope is 1, y-intercept is 4. But remember, the slope is m, the y-intercept is b. So y equals, now you can write 1x if you like. If you like to just keep track of that, 1x and then plus 4 for the b value. But you can also just write y equals x plus 4, and that means the same thing, because we don't have to write the 1 there as it doesn't affect the value of that x. Sort of implied 1. But you can write it if you want to. So y equals 1x, or just x, plus 4. So to graph this, we'll go up 4 on the y-axis. Start up here. The slope here is 1, or 1 over 1. So that's up and right, 1 over 1. Up 1, right 1. Up 1, right 1. So for positive slopes, I like to go up and right to start. And for negative slopes, I like to go down and right. And that way I'm always putting the negative on the y value. So either up or down, but I'm always going to be going to the right to start out. Now, if I don't have room to do that, like if I start down here or something, then I would obviously go to the left. But if I can, I like to start by going up or down to the right. So there's your equation here, y equals x plus 4. We started at 4 on the y-axis and up 1 over 1 for the slope. All right, example D here, y-intercept is 5, slope is 3 over 4. So be careful here. The information in this problem is given to you in reverse order just to kind of make sure you're paying attention. So the y-intercept is the b value, slope is the m value. So y equals 3/4 comes first, 3/4 goes in front of the x, and then plus 5 for the y-intercept. So start at 5 up here on the y-axis. The slope is 3/4, so positive 3 over 4, that's up 3 right 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Up 3, right 4, right here. And then we can go down 3 since we're out of room. Down 3, left 4. Just go backwards there. And there is the line. Okay, for example E, it says crosses the x-axis at the origin. So that's right here. And so if it crosses the x-axis at the origin, we also know it crosses the y-axis as well. And then the slope, that's the m value, is -3. Well, if it crosses the y-axis at the origin, that means the b value is going to be 0 there because it crosses the y-axis at 0. So the equation here, y equals, the slope is -3, so -3x. And since the b value, the y-intercept, is 0, you can write plus 0 if you like to, if it helps you with your graph. Otherwise, you can just get rid of it. Y equals -3x. So to graph this, our slope is -3 over 1. So we're going to go down 3, right 1. Because we started at 0, right? Started in the middle. Or up 3 and left 1 from there as well. And there is the line. So the problem didn't specifically tell us that it crossed the y-axis anywhere. But since it crosses the x-axis at the origin, which is that middle point, it also crosses the y-axis there. So we know that the b value is 0. And again, if you write this equation, it's okay. It's not mathematically wrong. And if it helps you to have that plus 0 there, by all means put it. But the sort of the simplified way to write it is y equals -3x. Okay, for example F, the x-intercept is 3, the slope is 2/3, and the y-intercept is -2. So we have 3 pieces of information here. But remember, all we need is m, the slope, and b, the y-intercept. The x-intercept we don't really care about. It'll help us know that we graph our line right, but we don't need it for the equation. So we just need the slope, which is 2/3. So y equals 2/3 x, and we also need the y-intercept, the b value, which is -2, so -2. So y equals 2/3 x minus 2, right? Just use those numbers there. So to graph this line, we go down 2 from the origin. We start here at -2 on the y-axis. The slope is positive 2/3, so up 2 over 3. And then you can see we do cross the x-axis at 3. So that information is correct, it's just not necessary. Keep going, up 2, right 3, up 2, right 3, or down 2, left 3, all the way across, and then we can draw the line. Okay, so there are the first 6 examples, just the regular sort of standard examples. Now we're going to look at some special cases. So here are some situations that don't show up as often, but they're still important to know. So here we have, for example, G, b equals 3 and m equals 0. So if you were just writing with those numbers, you'd put y equals 0x plus 3. Well, anything times 0 is 0, so if it helps you to put it, go ahead, but we can just write y equals 3. So remember, a 0 slope, that's a horizontal line. We go to the b value, which is 3 here, and a slope of 0 is just going to go straight across, just like that. So through the y-axis at 3, horizontal line. For example H, the x-intercept is 3 and the slope is undefined. This is an example that is actually not really in slope-intercept form for the equation because you see we have an undefined slope and we know the x-intercept is 3. So if you remember, an undefined slope gives you a vertical line. And so through 3 on the x-axis, we out this line is that for a vertical line, there is no y-intercept, right? It's not touching the y-axis at all. So similar to how example G had y equals 3 for a horizontal line, for example H, we're going to have x equals 3 for this vertical line, which goes through 3 on the x-axis. So this is the only type of equation that isn't really in slope-intercept form because it doesn't start with y equals. and there's no slope value, and there's no b value. But this is the way to write this equation for this vertical line. Okay, example I, 0 slope, y-intercept is -2. So this is just like example G. 0 slope, except the y-intercept is different. So y equals -2. And so we're going to go down 2, and then our 0 slope gives us a horizontal line through that point. So y equals -2 there. Again with J, undefined slope through 4, 1. So this is very similar to example H, undefined slope. So we know it's going to be vertical. So we know it's going to start with x equals. But now the point we're given is just to the point 4, 1. It doesn't give us an intercept. So 4, 1, let's find that point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 right here. So we know it's a vertical line. We can go ahead and put that on there. Vertical line through 4, 1. Trying to make it straight. Okay, so the x-intercept you can actually see right here is 4, which is the x value from that point. So we know that the equation is x equals 4. So if you have an undefined slope, you can be certain that it's x equals whatever the x value is through that point. Because it will also have to go through the x-axis at that value. Okay, example K, through -3, 5 with no slope. So remember, no slope is the same as undefined slope. It's just another way to put it. So we're going to have a vertical line again. So through -3, 5 with no slope. Now remember, from example J, we could just write the equation based on the x value in the point. So let's go ahead and do that. X equals -3. So that's the x value here. And we can be pretty sure that's correct. Let's make sure. So -3 on the x-axis is right here. Vertical line, because we have no slope. So vertical line, just like that. Let's make sure it goes through -3, 5. So left 3, up 5. Yeah, right there. So we're okay. So again, if it's undefined or no slope, you can just use the x value from the point. So likewise, with example L, it says 0 slope. Now this is a horizontal line, remember? So undefined or no slope is vertical, 0 slope is horizontal. So kind of similar to how we could just use the x value from the point on example K for the no slope. For a 0 slope, we can actually just use the y value for this one. So it's y equals -2. Let's make sure though. So if we graph this equation, y equals -2, we go down 2. 0 slope gives us a horizontal line. And let's just make sure that that point -5, 2 is on that line. So we go left 5, down 2, and it is right there. So that's good as well. Okay, so there you have the special cases for these constant equations that are either x or y equals a number. So you just kind of have to remember that when you have x equals a number, it's going to be a vertical line through that number or through the x value of a point. And if you have y equals a number, that's going to be a horizontal line through that number on the y-axis, slope of 0. Okay, so there you have writing equations and a little graphing practice for slope-intercept form.